Liquor Talk, another brand new episode starts now. Welcome everybody to another edition of your People's Podcast, the podcast that is better than a Jet 2 holiday. Welcome everybody to another edition of the Liquor Talk Podcast, where we have conversations while sipping on some liquor. Stay for the conversations. Pour up a shot if you haven't done so. Shout out to everybody that's been tuning in all season long. And shout out to people if it's your first episode or your 300th episode. It don't matter where you start tuning into Liquor Talk. We highly appreciate you. This is the second to last episode before the season finale. But joining me today, podcasting out of California, we got Dr. Stephanie Hunter-Jones in the house today. Join us today. How you doing today, Doc?
Doing fabulous. Thank you for having me, and thank you for your listeners for having me as well.
Yes, thank you. And also, thank you to Podmatch. Sure, you are like the last person I'm having on for Podmatch from this season. I've managed to get like 8 people on. So, to my friends at Podmatch, I'm going to work to get that number up. So, I appreciate y'all for bringing me onto the service. If y'all haven't done so already, whether you're a podcaster or you somebody that's looking to get on podcasts, I need y'all to go ahead and sign up for Podmatch. Guarantee you're going to find you a guest. And if you also you're going to be provided with great guests, whether you're a podcast host or if you're looking for somebody, if you're just somebody that, hey, I want to get on a podcast and I don't know where to get started, go ahead and make you a Podmatch account. You'll bring your guests on, so go ahead and make that Podmatch account. Shout out to my dog Alex. Hey, I'm giving you free promotion here, so hey, it is what it is. Now talk to me about sexuality and what you deal with, because I know you understand you're a doctor and you deal with a lot of sexuality. And yes, we've been talking about some sex during this season of Liquor Talk. So if y'all haven't done so already, check out past a few episodes. I had someone on where we were in person discussing sex toys, and I also got a chance to interview someone who's an actual sex artist, a webcam artist. Shout out to all y'all as well. And now we get to close it with a doctor. Talk to me, Doc. What do you do?
Okay. Well, I'm a clinical sexologist. And what that means is my PhD is in human sexuality. My master's is in clinical psychology. And I'm a certified sex coach. And I work with individuals and couples to enhance their sexuality, enhance their intimacy. And I write books and help guide people in that direction. My work is more, I'd say, emotional focused. They're not like how to type of thing. It's more like how to deal with emotions that you're having regarding sexuality, especially my books for my middle grades to young adults. Because during that time, they have a lot of emotions and feelings that come up they don't understand, and they don't have anyone to talk to about. So my books kind of gear towards that and basically just try to get this conversation going, people.
Yes, we do. We're going to start with the teenagers because growing up, we had a lot of parents that were so Bible based. No sex before marriage, and they want to talk to you about this. They want to scare you about sex. They want to talk to you about the STDs and what if you get somebody pregnant? But y'all are some goddamn hypocrites because a lot of us came because y'all were fucking while y'all were teenagers. So talk to me about that and why do parents always want to go that route instead of the healthier route, which is just telling them to protect themselves and make them aware of everything and be a safe space for them to talk about their sexual hormones.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you look at the history of sex, you're always going to find a connection with control. Between religion, political, everyone wants to control people's sexuality. They feel if they have that control over them, it gives them sort of the upper hand. And so I would say the parents have a great fear of the child being out of control with it. And so they kind of sometimes go the opposite instead of speaking openly to them. My first book on labels for the middle grades, it's more about why labels can be important and help people find their community. I am a concern that these young kids are labeling themselves too quickly because they're feeling this pressure to do so. And so, again, I'm not saying there's anything bad if you're 12 years old and you already know you're gay, that's great. But my book just goes like, hey, y'all, slow down. We all have feelings sometimes that come up, and maybe you're a boy and you're having feelings for your guy best friend, but that doesn't mean you have to label yourself gay. Why don't you just take your time and get to know who you are as a human? I think that we are very quick to label, and that puts then again a lot of pressure on them as they're growing up. So that's what my first book is about.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. And do you think it's because society today is forcing these kids into pressure where, and also could it be the fault of also society and also the parents not being around? The parents just give them the tablet or give them the phone and not really pay attention to what they're listening to or what they're watching, whatever games they're playing. And also the parent not being the safe space as well. So I guess what I'm trying to ask is what role does the parent play in the 12-year-old saying, "Oh, I think I'm gay"?
Say I'm not one to really blame the parent in that regard. I'm one to more put the pressure on society and religion. Yes, can the parent be more open and speak to the child? Yes, but this has been going on for a long time where parents didn't speak to their kids about sex. I think we're living in a time right now where kids are like they're trying to say we don't want the shame no more. So if I'm gonna say I'm gay, I'm gay. If I'm this, I'm that. And that's sort of sad that we put them there. That they have to kind of fight that way instead of, saying, okay, just take your time. If you are, that's great. If you're not, that's great. It's okay if you have some sexual experience with the same gender. That's okay. It doesn't mean you're gay. Then or you could be, and that's okay too. But they have this pressure. And I think part of the pressure for them is to fight back as society. You're not going to tell me I'm not this or I'm not this. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, and I see that a lot, but it's not healthy. So, what
No.
do we have to do to make these kids realize that you don't have to fight us? That we're your allies. It's like a partnership here. We're trying to help you instead of trying to dictate to you.
Well, you have to give, if you want a safe, you have to give them a safe space. And that is just simply not out there, my friend. And I try to create this type of thing, but in like if I work with a parent with their child in middle grade, I will bring up, I have a very fun way of bringing things up. I'll bring up the conversation of sex. And of course, the child will giggle and I'll giggle too. And then I'll just start asking questions that the parent usually afterwards say, oh my God, I never talked to my child about that. And I'm like, wow, I mean, really, I just asked very simple questions. I like, oh, you like boys, you like girls, what you like? Get it starting like that. And then they giggle and they tell me what they like. So the conversation doesn't have to be so heavy. It could just say, hey, what do you like? Who do you like? What makes you tingle? What makes you feel good?
Yeah, I think we make it so heavy because we don't talk about it enough. It's not brought up. They only care about. I guess parents have only cared about your grades or what you're doing in school, or they don't really care about how your mentals are or how something like sexuality would come up.
Well, and especially for a female, I grew up in Texas and the female was always shamed, for sex, and the male was always like he's a stud. So females have it a little harder. And also, we teach our young females that monogamy equals love. And unless your boyfriend is just so into you, if he wants to have sex with someone else, that means he does not love you. All this baloney, that's not true. So we teach them these things, and then they grow up to believe those things, and it sort of molds them, and it prevents them from enjoying their sexuality.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, we gotta change how we mold these kids because, and also they just gonna have to grow up and live life because when they get, I fear for them because when they get to college, they're gonna be a whole buck wild, you know.
hmm Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. That's simply why I do what I do. But a lot of people don't like it. But again, I want to get the conversation going even in the schools, but it's hard. They want to do the sex education, here's the vagina, here's this, but they don't want to talk to the kids about what they're feeling and the questions that they really have. They don't want to go there, but nobody wants to go there. The church doesn't go there. The churches say don't do it. The parents don't go there. Who do these kids get to go to? The internet. And we
Hmm.
know what the internet has. So they get confused about things.
Yeah. So bottom line, I'm guessing I really believe parents they gotta figure out a way to be a safe space for their children,
Absolutely, without a doubt.
and without judgment, without wanting to get the belt and beat the life out of them. No, be that safe space for them because if you do it while they're young, they won't go no contact on you when they get older.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
But shifting over to you, what made you say I want to study sexuality?
Because I was one of those young kids that I grew up in an extremely religious environment, and I was scared from a very young age, 6, 7, 8 years old, of sex demons when I didn't even know what sex was. And so I had demons cast out of me and everything. And so by the time I got into my years where I started developing feelings, I felt shame and guilt. And only knew how to use my sexuality to try to get love and attention for it. And then I would hide and feel shameful. So it took me many, many years into my adult life to heal that and to realize that it's not evil. In fact, it's completely the opposite. Not that there's not darkness. Everything that the light shines on us will always have a shadow. So, but we can stay and live into the shadow. I'm sorry, in the light. So it took me a long time to heal that. And through that process, I decided, gosh, there must be people like me. And so that's why I decided to do what I did.
That's amazing, and I'm glad you decided to make a change for it instead of staying with the status quo. Because some people they will stay stuck with it because they're like, "Oh, my mom did it, or my dad did it." No, you are the one that you were like, "No, I'm gonna change this for the better." So,
Well, it
what's
was
something? Go ahead.
killing my soul. It was killing my soul. I didn't even know my soul anymore. So I'm aware of what it can do to individuals. I'm aware. I'm sorry.
You good? You good? You good?
Mhm.
So, what is something you wish you would have learned sooner about sexuality?
That sex is natural and healthy and normal for you to have those feelings. It's normal for you want to experience it. That you're not. There's nothing bad about you. There's nothing evil about you. Um, just that. I mean, it's one of the greatest gifts that humans have been given is to be able to enjoy that, and yet we're told it's so bad.
Yeah, like for the life of me, I've never understood why people will tell us it's so bad. But my question is, if it's so bad, then how did we get here? Two
Oh well,
people had to, have
yeah,
sex unprotected.
it's hypocritical. But again, it's all back down to humans and controlling. They
Mm.
feel like that gives them control over them. You're born onto the planet a sexual being, every one of us. You're not born onto the planet. Oh God, I don't want to grow up to be a whore. I mean, that's not the way you come out into the planet. You come out screaming when you're hungry, knowing when you want something, feeling what you feel, and you're molded along the way to believe and think a certain way.
Yeah, that's so true. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Liquor Talk once again. Shout out to everybody that's pouring up with us. The more you drink, the better this podcast sounds. Whether you're tuning on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcasts at, go ahead and tune in. Also, shout out to all you that have subscribed on YouTube. And also, shout out to my people on Podmatch as well. So Doc, little lighthearted question for you. What's your favorite thing to drink? Before and after sex. I know I do know somebody did tell me it's not wise to drink while before having sex, but hey, it
Mm,
happens.
mhm. Some people enjoy that. I find that drinking will numb you. during sex. So I don't recommend people having more than like one, something, um, because it will make a difference in the way you feel. But as far as what I drink, I'm a vodka
Mm.
vodka martini straight up with the olive.
Okay. Have you had some? So I take you must have had some good sex while on some vodka.
Well, let's just say I have some notches in my belt.
Don't we all have some notches in our belt?
Yeah.
But I feel like the notches in your belt are necessary because I don't know what somebody would do if they encounter somebody that's they manage to keep themselves until marriage.
Well, I mean, I always, I understand, I guess that's okay, but at my age, especially, I always tell people, what are you saving for? I mean, it's like, I mean, you want to enjoy your life, enjoy your time. So I don't know. And what are you saving exactly? You're
Saving
saving
your
about,
virginity,
well,
meaning
that's what
you
I'm
never
saying.
had sex.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And why is that so valuable? Why is that you saved your pleasure that you could give yourself for this person that you don't even know if you're going to meet or not, or they may not even value it as much. I mean, I don't know. I know it's taught to do that, but again, it's just to me a bunch of baloney.
Yeah, yeah. It's like at first, but at first we're all taught, "Oh, to save yourself before marriage," but then you get to live in life, and it's like, wow, it's a whole different out here, and also it's more publicized out here. So it's like, hey, the first time you have it, hey, it's either good or bad, and it ain't like you're gonna die from it.
Hmm. Yeah, and unfortunately for females too, I hate to keep going back to the female aspect of it, but because they're so shamed and because they've sort of been taught to use sex to make someone fall in love with them, their sex, especially in their younger years, is more performative. It's less about what feels good to me, what I enjoy, what I like. It's more about performance to gain approval. And that's what I wished I could change for females. I wished I could really change that.
Yeah, I really wish that you could change that as well. But I know from a male's point of view, I had another lady on, a few months, I think it was a few weeks ago. She said straight up, the best thing we could do as a man could be just to ask her what she likes in bed before you actually have sex with her. Do y'all do you think that's a conversation that should be had before we start engaging in sex?
If you don't ask that, then you're not having sex for your partners to give them pleasure. You're only having sex for yourself. I don't care if you're female or you're male. If you don't care about what your partner likes and you just want to prove something to them, then you're just in it for you. So yeah, the conversation needs to flow. It needs to go, and you need to, because not every female is going to like it the same way. Not every male is going to like it the same way. But if you're trying to prove that you're something to this person, then you're not that. Then you're not that something. That something is someone that says, "Tell me what you like. Show me how you like it." I always
Yeah.
tell my couples, I tell the female to hold her hand out, and then I tell the male, now touch her hand, and then I tell her, now pretend that's your vagina, and show him how hard you like it or how soft you like it. And I make him practice that a lot, and till he knows that's how she likes it. Not like how your last two girlfriends liked it. That's how she likes it. And if your goal is for her, then that's what it's there for. And you have to, like, just because you think you know how to uh, jack a penis off or do the best blowjob, well, guess what? The next guy may not like it that way. You
Mm-hmm.
know, gotta you gotta come from this place. So tell me what you like. Am I doing it? Is this the way you like it? Tell me what you like.
Yeah, I really feel like we need to be having those conversations, and also I kind of feel like we need to have those conversations, especially because I've heard stories about people going like months without sex and years without sex. How do they do that? Like, how does a person stay sane if they can go long periods of time without having sex?
Well, there's something that is I call sexual anorexia. It's very similar to the food anorexia, where if somebody denies themselves food for whatever reason, and it's usually a form of control, for a period of time, what happens? Their appetite completely goes away. And then they get to the point where they can't even take a bite of food, they get repulsed. The same thing happens with sex. Sex is as important to humans as food. And so when we starve ourselves from it, for whatever reason, it's often from control. But when we starve ourselves, our appetite diminishes to the point we've starved ourselves so long that we're almost repulsed of the thought of it.
Yeah.
So when we're doing that to ourselves, we are really hurting our energy or our spirit, whatever you want to call it. You are really harming your energy.
You would definitely. I have to agree with that. You're definitely harming your energy because it's like you got to use it, or else you might just lose it. Because I've heard people tell me, "Oh, I'm celibate and stuff." I'm like, celibate for what? Like,
The closest way that we can experience heaven on earth and love and pleasure is through sex. And if you
wow.
even think about most people, a lot of people, when they orgasm, they say, oh God, because they feel that greatness. That's something that has been given to us.
Yes, it has been. It has been definitely given to us. So how would you encounter deal with somebody that say that that they've been celibate for like 3 or 4 years? What would your advice be to them? Like, do they need to get a toy, or what do they need to do before they even start to really engage themselves and dealing with somebody who might want to have sex, whether it's a man or a woman?
Okay, well, first I would have to say what their goal is, because my goal is the client's goal. So if their goal is to start having sex, then that's where I would come in. I certainly would never want to pressure someone into having sex if that's not their goal. But let's say someone hadn't had sex in a few years and they come to me. First thing I do is this: sex is only one way for us to express our sexuality. So I always try to find out what is your sexuality? What does that look like? Now, whatever you do in your life that you bring passion, or you do this activity and you feel alive, you're using your sexual energy for that, whether you realize it or not. So I try to get them in touch with that sexual energy and get to know that energy. And then through different assignments and talking with them, we find out what that energy needs. What's it crying for? Why was it shut down? What was it about? Um, Again, sex is a very small part of it. And if somebody uses their sexual energy for something for their passion, they're going to be real good at it. Now that you can.
Wow. You just gave me something because now I'm gonna have to start. Because anytime I go to like networking events and stuff, people pull up my podcast page. They're like, "Oh wow, over 300 something episodes! Wow, they're so fascinated." I might have to tell you, it's the sexual energy.
Mhm. Oh, if you're good at something, that's what you're using your energy. Now, you can get you got to remember that, because you don't want to overuse it in one way and not use it another way. Like some people will use their sexual energy, let's say for dance or music, and then that's all they pour it into. And they lose they don't have sex. So they have to reclaim some of that. It has to be like a balance to keep, because if you don't have sex, what happens is you're starving your energy. Sex is what fires that energy up.
Yeah, it's like I understand it's the firing of energy, but the dating pool, it's like horrible out here. It's like because you got so many people who are like you try to meet them, and then the one thing, then they instantly you even bring up sex, they instantly turned off. I'm like, how in the world? I'm like, I didn't even bring it up really, but then then they all of a sudden turned off because it's like you say we need to have it, but how are we supposed to have it if you keep running into people in the dating pool where everybody complains, oh, the dating pool is this, the dating pool is that.
Well, I would say I would go where your energy is. One thing I noticed, I believe in, obviously you can tell I believe in energy, and like energy will attract like energy. So then I would have the person take a look at their own energy and what is it that's blocking? What is that? What is that about? And where are you going to meet these people? Because there's people out there that's ready to do it. Trust me on that. So I never believe the people that say I just can't find nobody. No, I mean I live in a 55 and over community, and there is so many hookups and affairs going on here. It's like you can always find it. So I just believe if you really want it, then take a look at, is there something in me that's blocking it? Is, what is my energy and why am I not drawing it?
Mm. Yeah, that's good. Hey, I feel you on the 55 and up community because I live a mile hour away from a well known 55 and up community, and I hear that they get it on all the time. And I was shocked to hear that they had the highest STD rates. The villages in Florida.
Well, yeah, overall nationally, they're number two. The teenagers are number one. But yeah, it's sad because their Medicaid does not cover any kind of sexual health. So it doesn't cover any kind of testing. It doesn't cover medication. And they think for some reason, when they're their age, that they're past it, which they're not. But there's other issues though involved, like when men get older, it's harder for them to keep an erection with a condom on because they lose sensation. The female gets very dry down there, and she complains that it hurts if he puts a condom on. So there are things at play. Does that mean they need to go crazy? No, but there are things. My heart goes out to them, but it certainly would help if there were more resources available for them to be tested and have medication.
Wow, I never even knew that. I knew it was something up that it was some reason that it those reasons were, but now you just solved a mystery from it because, like I said, I never even knew that. Now, going to like personal things like sexual fantasies, like how does a person deal with those sexual fantasies? And because also heard some women say that us men, can kind of expect things we see in a porno to try to do it, recreate that in a scene in is sex in real life.
Mhm. Well, I see that as different than a sexual fantasy. I have found that most people have a very hard time sharing their sexual fantasies with their partner. They feel almost shameful. And I have to remind them that a sexual fantasy doesn't necessarily mean you're going to do it. You want
Mm.
to share the thought of something that turns you on. Now, if you saw something on in a movie or whatever, then share that with your partner and say, that just seems interesting to me. But a sexual fantasy to me is when someone uses their imagination, not see it on a TV. If
Mm.
you use your imagination and you have a sexual fantasy, that's when it's going to be hot and it's going to be sexy. And you don't have to do it. Like if you want to have sex in public or whatever, you don't have to do that, but you can still talk about it and say, oh, what I'd do to you if I had you there and everybody's watching, things like that. Uh, use your creativity. But if you're just saying, I don't know, if you tell your partner, I saw this in a movie, let's try it, and they'd be like, okay, it doesn't have the juice behind it. Like,
Wow.
you think, oh, I was thinking about you last night, and I had this fantasy, and I use you use your imagination, and you think about the person, and then the person's like, oh, wow, woo, it's about me then. Oh, it's about
So
me. Hmm.
so this will actually lead into role play then. If that's the case, that's what it sounds like. This is leading into role playing.
Well, I'm really big in that. That's my second book that's out. It's on cosplay and role play and the power of that, which I think is a huge, huge medicine to heal. And I totally support that. And I've used it so many times on my couples that have not sexually connected in years. and it has worked almost every time. Because when we role play or we cosplay, meaning we put a little costume on and pretend to be Batman or somebody else, we are not ourselves. We are able to do two things. We're able to embody our sexuality and also like escape the judgment out there. So with that behind the mask, we can be all naughty. And to the person that we might be afraid might judge us, or we can be naughty because we're playing a role of somebody.
Mm.
So usually after a couple of role play scenarios with my clients, then we sit down and we talk about it. And they really realize a whole lot about themselves through that experience, whether they ended up having sex or not. They learn about, we talk about, well, what came up for you when you were there? What was it? And so we learn a whole lot. I'm a big role play person and a big, yeah.
So you would highly advocate for people to visit the couple stores, the sex stores, to get ideas.
Well, of course. I mean, I often, that's usually a nice date night. One of the first date nights I have my couples do, and they have to each pick out one for each of them and take it home and try it. Yeah, of course. That's nothing.
Wow, interesting. That's interesting. So who would you even lead that conversation on? Because again, going to the point where you're meeting people, you feel like you might scare them away if you say go along those lines.
Well, now I'm not sure if you were meeting somebody for a date for the first time. I would say you want to go to a sex shop. I'm talking about couples that kind of know each other and like are a little stuck in their rhythm and routine. I think well, this is interesting because I work with a lot of people that have like fetishes and kinks.
Mm-hmm.
You want me to explain the difference in the two?
Yes, please
Okay.
explain it too.
So a kink is something that just turns you on, but you don't need it to get an erection or have an orgasm. A fetish is something that you need to be present for you to get the erection and to have an orgasm. Females have it too. Females can't get turned on unless they have this certain fetish, either an act or something along the lines. So that's the big question too, with that I address in my second book, because he's a cosplayer. Do we tell someone we first meet, oh, I have this fetish. I have a foot fetish. I have a shoe fetish or whatever. Again, I always encourage my clients, and I encourage the main character in the book. If he owned it, he will draw the person to him that will celebrate it like he does. If you have shame about it, the other person's going to have shame about
Right. So speaking of women and men, who desires sex more, women or men? Because I've heard both sides of it. I've heard men say we desire it more. I've heard women say we desire it more. So I find it hard to believe. I feel like it should be equal because we both want it.
it. Well, again, I can only speak my experience with 15 years working in this industry. Half of my couples that I work with are in some form of open relationship. And I would say 70% of the time it's the wife that wants to do it. And I have
Mm.
to I have to talk to the husband about it. And, so I'm not sure I buy into the thing that men want it more or women want it more. I think that, again, females have been controlled and been sort of programmed to think a certain way. And I think that if they weren't, then they would be the ones that would be wanting the sex.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, I find that interesting because I remember I had a coworker years ago. He said, "Why do you think so many married?" He told me straight up. He said there are so many married men that they be on OnlyFans sites. They be on the porn sites more than single men. I'm like, no, there's no way.
Hmm. Well, I mean, there's a lot to that one. I mean, yeah, that's a whole other conversation. Is he not satisfied? Why is he not satisfied? Or what's going on? That's a big one there. I would have to find out what's going on there.
Yeah. So at what point should a couple seek out couples should seek out a sex coach? Like if it's like been some years, or at what point should they be looking to get a sex coach?
Whenever they're ready, if they want to change, and if they're willing to get out of their comfort zone. Even if they feel a little like just a little bored, then do it. Or if you're wanting to experiment, even in the simplest way, not necessarily opening up, but a simple way, I always recommend going to see a sex coach or sex therapist so that they can guide you little steps to keep things safe for you. So whenever you're ready to get out, that's how I always tell my couples when they start with me. I say, look, the ones that are willing to take a look at what they're doing that's not working in the relationship with the sex, the ones that are willing to get out of their comfort zone are always the ones that do well, and
So
that are willing to do the work I give, because I give a lot of, again, I give a lot of homework that puts you out of your comfort zone. But that's the only way you're going to grow. It's the only way.
yeah, that's the only way you're gonna grow if you apply what you're learning, what we discuss in the sessions. So, do you feel like if people sought out sexual coaches more, it will cut down on the cheating? Because I've known some women, they might say that their husband might not be doing it for me, so guess what? They'll go out and cheat. I know some men who say the woman's not giving it to me enough, so they'll go out and cheat.
Um, Cheating is a totally its own conversation. I think that's more about the individual and what's going on within them. I don't think it's about what's going on with their partner. So, but yes, I would recommend that because there's obviously something going on within the individual that either not in a safe place to tell their partner that their needs aren't being met, um, or something's going on, or they're not feeling right about themselves. Something's going on there. But I don't think cheating is ever about the partner. I think it's about the person that is doing that. But yes, I highly recommend going to a therapist on that.
Yes, I definitely feel like we definitely need to go to a therapist on that, which leads to me wanting to know what do you say is sexual integrity?
Well, well, when we think of integrity, what makes integrity so valuable to you?
Integrity is like being honest and keeping things 100 with people, and also keeping a person of your word.
So the only way you can have integrity is then to do that. So I always asked, I always like to know what your top three values are when I work with clients. And I often hear integrity. And you can bet I use that one throughout my work with them. Because I'll say, well, how does that reflect if you're not telling your partner that, she's not doing this or he's not doing that? Are you coming from a place of integrity?
Mhm.
So integrity is a tough one because it's something that we all claim we have or we want. But when things get uncomfortable and tough, sometimes we don't go from a place of integrity.
Yeah,
Because
so
I'm not saying we're lacking in any way. I'm just saying in that moment we're not coming from that place of integrity.
mm. So would it be best to always have the conversations when you're like level and cool headed, not when you 38 hot mad with the person?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And you know what? It's a muscle. Oftentimes I'll assign weekly meetings that the couples they have to spend 30 minutes on a Saturday morning or whatever, or a Saturday afternoon, have a glass of wine and talk about what they haven't expressed that week. How are things? What are they feeling? What's going on? Things of that nature. You have to talk about it, and it's a muscle communication is a muscle that you have to build.
Yes, you have to build it, folks, because if you build it, you're not gonna lose it. And also, we gotta say fuck the shame, because it's like I that's why I want to have the conversations, because some people that be so much shame, which leads me to your book, X again. From shame to soul, like reclaiming sexuality as a sacred force for healing. Like, how do people do that? Does it start when they're single, or does it start while they're in a relationship?
It can start anytime anyone's ready,
Mm.
but you have to. really face some shadows within you. You have to face, where did that shame originate? And you have to sort of realize that someone else tried to tell you their truth. And is that your truth? And what is your truth? It takes self-discovery. Yeah, that's where I say my work is a lot of the emotional aspects of what's going on with people. A lot of physical too. I give a lot of really fun. I've been told I give the best homework. So, but I push my clients emotionally too to find out what's really going on.
Yes, you do. So what is some homework that you want to give the listeners out there? What's some homework you want to give to the
Mm,
listeners? What is some?
you're not okay. The homework is keep listening to your shows.
Well,
Well, no,
obviously outside of that, because you want the people to get something else, you know.
yeah, I know. It's just my personal things I have spent 15 years developing for my clients, and I just usually don't share those little juicy niblets. But I would just recommend that if you are in a relationship where you're not satisfied, that you think about seeing someone that can help you and guide you and give you support and homework assignments like that. And besides, even if I said one assignment, it may not be right for someone. You see what I mean?
Oh,
And
okay.
it could trigger them. And I'm very cautious, and I always try to know my clients well before I give them anything that could trigger them. So.
Yes, yes, yes. I feel that's real. Speaking of, now I did have a couple more questions I want to get to because I see here we got to talk about erectile dysfunction. Is that caused by emotional distress, or is it just caused from just you not taking care of yourself?
Well, uh, there is many causes of erectile dysfunction, but emotional. It could be completely emotional. It's usually due, if it is emotional, it's due to control issues. It can also be caused from porn and sex addiction. It can be caused from hormone imbalance. I mean, there is so much there, and I usually recommend that the client always sees a medical doctor, gets all their hormones and their prostate checked. And then if the doctor then says, medically, you're fine, that's when I can work with him and find out what's going on. Yeah.
Oh,
But
wow.
if
So,
it's emotional, if it's an emotional thing, there is cure, there is healing.
so is it some shadow work? Is he gonna have to do?
That's absolutely correct. Some shadow work.
Yes, yes. Fellas, we gotta get this shadow work done because better believe if you can't get it up, she gonna find someone that can. At the end of the day, let's be real. Yeah, let's just be honest about it because life is short, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
What is some advice you want to give to people before we get out of here?
First of all, to know that your sexual energy, I want you to know it, and I want you to embrace it. I want you to celebrate it. I want you to love it. It is not something that needs to be performed. It's something that wants to be expressed. It's something that wants to feel and give you so much joy. Please, I just want you to know that energy and to love it.
Yes, know that energy, and also I said I was gonna get out of here. Now, how do you know? Something just came to me. I know I said we're gonna get out of here, but something just came to me. How do you know if you're giving your sexual energy to the wrong person?
Um, I well, that is also a cause that can be erectile dysfunction. Something's not working within you. Either you're feeling off about something, or I mean, that's one of the things I always. Sometimes your penis is trying to tell you something. Sometimes penis can tell you you're not in the right place at the right time. So there's a lot. That's why I don't like certain like labels for erectile dysfunction, because the man starts thinking there's something wrong with him when in fact your penis could be telling you something very valuable and important to you.
Oh wow, this reminds me of a conversation, the same conversation I had about 2 weeks ago because The lady said that sometimes when you about to go down on a girl, if her walls is not opening up, that must mean she just don't want it. She might be saying, yeah, she want to have sex, but if the walls are not opening up, then then maybe it's not meant for y'all to have sex.
Yeah, or maybe she doesn't like the way that the individual is doing it, and she doesn't have feel that there's a safe space to say what she likes. Because again, oftentimes we take sex so personally, like, oh, you don't like the way I was doing it? Oh, I mean, and again, it's not about us. We can't make it about us. We got to make it about our partner. But yeah, if something, you know, when your energy, when something's not right. You
Yeah,
know,
that's true. We
if
know.
you, I just know humans do. Now they may not, they want to block themselves from it, but I just know we have that ability.
Yeah, and we have that ability, and then sometimes the repercussions could be you wind up with a kid that neither y'all want.
Yeah, that's a lot
Because
of work.
it's like I hear so many single moms complaining, and I see the single dads complaining as well. But I'm like, sir, ma'am, you laid down with the person, it felt good, and you must have ignored the warning signs, but a human came
Well,
out of it.
also, did they have sex because it felt good, or did they have sex for other reasons? So, I mean, it's complicated. Humans are complicated. Yeah, it's not cut. Yeah.
Yes, humans are definitely complicated. You would know that because you talk to so many people. So if somebody wants to get in your line of work, what would you tell them?
Well, I will say you have to prepare yourself for the amount of pain that you're going to hear. I say for the first, about 15 years ago when I started in my practice, for the first couple of years, I could not believe the amount of pain that's out there sexually for people. And it was very hard for me. So, people, when you tell them, oh, I'm a sex therapist or I do this, oh, you're just talking about orgies all day and this and that. People have no idea the depth of pain that's out there on the planet sexually. And so I would tell them, be prepared.
So is the pain also caused from like sexual assaults or just mental pain, or where's this pain usually come from?
All of the above. I've heard it all.
Wow. That is now how have those people been able to recover from that pain?
It takes a lot of work, self discovery, to move beyond, and non judgment of oneself for feeling the pain, to embrace it, showing yourself love, self love. Um, but I just sometimes wish I could wrap my arms around some people and just, and say, I'm sorry that happened. Such a beautiful part of your soul is your sexuality, and for that to be hurt breaks my heart. And I just try to do the best I can to help that heart mend for them. I mean, it never completely mends, but if I could get them to a place where they can enjoy that aspect of themselves again, it's worth it.
Yeah, it'll definitely be worth it. And also, now, what would you say to the partners if they're in a relationship with somebody whom they may have not understood? They know, but they don't quite understand it. Do you have to tell them to be patient with them, or what's the best way to deal with
Yes,
somebody like that?
absolutely. But I also, whenever I do that, I want to work with both partners because I think it's a healing process for both.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an opportunity to bring them closer together.
Yes, that's real. That's what it's all about. At the end of the day, you definitely want to be closer, have some good sex, and also be closer to each other as well. So, because this world's already tough as it is out here. So if you have somebody out there to lean on, that's what we need out here. So, and to my single people, hang in there. We're gonna get through it. We're gonna get through it one day at a time. We're gonna find a way to get through it, y'all. And please
Well,
do the
and
self
also let
work.
me say to the single people, know what it is you're really wanting and know that you deserve it. If you deserve it, you're going to get it. So know it in your heart. what you want and what you deserve.
Yes, know what you want and go get it, one way or another. What's the final piece of advice for the couples out there?
To remember that you've chosen one another for a very important journey. And one of the only ways really that you can truly learn parts of yourself is in a relationship with someone, good or bad. You learn so much about yourself that you don't learn being single. Also, I remind my couples that love is not just a feeling, it's a choice. So, what I mean by that, when you're angry and you're not feeling you love, you got to remember, yes, but I'm making the choice to love that person. Because I don't care how in love you are, there's going to be times when you ain't going to feel it. Because love and anger and things like that don't exist together. But at those moments, you say to myself, okay, I may not be feeling it, but I'm choosing it. And a
Yes.
lot of times with my couples, I tell them, if you start to bicker, you say, I'm angry, but I'm choosing to love you. And that sort of unplugs the anger and connects them a little bit and reminds them who's the boss. The boss is love, not anger.
That's real. Hey, hey, y'all need to tell y'all couple, to all my couples out there, if y'all with somebody, hey, hit them with that line one good time. But truly mean it though. Please truly mean it. Don't say something you don't mean.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
Now, where can the people get in touch with you?
It's stephaniehunterjones.com. And everything's there. You can look. I've got over 100 reviews from my clients, and I've got my books up and my artwork and all that good stuff. So that's stephaniehunterjones.com.
Well, thank you, Dr. Stephanie, for blessing the Liquor Talk with your presence. I hope we collaborate again. If I'm in California, I'll definitely hit you up. But if you ever got something you want to talk about, or you need to do a book drop or some announcement you need to make and you want a male perspective, I might be in Florida, but I'm just a call away.
I thank you. I love it. And I really appreciate you allowing me to share my truth to your listeners.
Thank you for blessing us with your presence. Thank you, Podmatch, for bringing us this guest. And thank you to subscribers. Thank you to everybody that's been tuning in to the Liquor Talk. This is your man Victor. I'm out of here. The next episode will be the season finale. I hope y'all tune in. Peace.